Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to Los Angeles, where we're on the ground for the launch of the brand new Infiniti QX50. Now, just a couple of things to go through before we start. Firstly, this is my actual first video review for this channel. This is the car that Infiniti is hoping will have the likes of the Audi Q3. Sorry. Step out actually if I may, because didn't realize how bloody. Ooh. And we also have a. Sorry, I've screwed that up again. No idea where exactly this gets on this. It's a 2-litre, sorry, not the important bit though, sorry, so please be merciful in the comments. Secondly, it's this very car that Infiniti hopes will leave the likes of the Audi Q3, the BMW X3 and the Mercedes-Benz GLC, among others, quaking in their respective boots. Thirdly, and probably most significantly, when I say brand new, this actually is brand new. Now, for those of you who are unfamiliar with the QX50 crossover, well, it's not really hard to see why, quite honestly, given that it first appeared more than 10 years ago, and even then it was called the EX. There's been a couple of updates here and there, most notably with its name change back in 2013, but this generation marks the first proper overhaul of the crossover yet. How much of an overhaul? Well, for starters, it's built on an entirely new lighter weight chassis, and that combines super high formability steel, that's easier to mould, improves torsional rigidity by 23%, and drops the foundation weight to just 473 kilograms, and even that's including the door panels. This, though, is undoubtedly the biggest change. It's a 2-litre turbo 4-cylinder that produces 268 horsepower and 280 pounds-foot torque. But that's not the important bit, though. You see, this is the very first variable compression VC turbo from Infiniti yet. It's spent the best part of 20 years in development, and it's set to shape the company in ways we haven't really seen before. Combining what Infiniti calls a multi-link system with a small electric motor, the VC turbo can seamlessly shift its compression ratio by continuously raising and lowering the pistons within the cylinders. Essentially what that gives the driver is the power and performance of a petrol-fueled 2-litre diesel with the torque and efficiency of a 4-cylinder diesel, all within the same engine. To put that yet another way, that's 35% more efficient at everything than the 3.5-litre V6 it replaces. There's a couple of other things we should mention here too. For starters, this is probably the last time we'll see this particular design language on an Infiniti, following the launch of the Q Inspiration concept to Detroit. Now, there are still some of the recognisable traits like the double arch front grille, those concave door panels, and the human eye headlights, but the QX50 probably marks this particular design swan song. So yeah, as a model it looks pretty sleek and artistic, and those super thin LED taillights, they're actually pretty cool. I want to talk a little bit about the interior. It's a design that Infiniti calls driver-centric, passenger-minded. Now, as naff as that term absolutely definitely is, there are still some nice bits of detail in here. There's 2 different high-definition touchscreens, for instance, and even this curve here on the dashboard and into the armrest. They've all been designed with ergonomics in mind for the driver. Okay, yes, there's still a bit of a question mark in terms of quality compared with your Audis, your Mercedes and your BMWs, and this new dainty gear shifter can be a little bit awkward to use, but on the whole it's another giant step forward for Infiniti. One of the selling points of the QX50 is its semi-autonomous Pro Pilot. Now what this does is, with the press of just one button, it engages intelligent cruise control, adaptive lane control, forward collision, etc, etc. Basically everything you would need to allow yourself to take your hands off the wheel, sort of, without the entire thing ending in either a massive fire or up against a tree. Enough about the design though, and while the B-roll video does half my job for me, how about we talk about how this crossover actually drives? After all, the ride is pretty comfortable, there's plenty of space, both front and rear, visibility across the board is top rate, and the handling is pretty impressive for a crossover. With a low centre of gravity and decent weight distribution, that means the QX50 is actually quite nimble through the corners. And here's the key question: how does that VC turbo engine perform? Pretty good, as it turns out. I mean, performance is a loose term, but it certainly offers you the grunt when you need it, in both the low and the high res, and it's very, very torquey when it needs to as well, especially now when we're climbing through the mountains. And yes, there are a few downsides to the QX50. That CVT, for instance, is very smooth between shifts and is certainly better than similar transmissions we've tried in the past, but it still has a raspy, almost strained soundtrack that might start to grate when you're in traffic. There's almost no weight to the steering in standard or eco modes either, and even in sport mode you don't really feel the sense of performance. Not that this is a car to grab by the lapels and hustle though. And in fairness, we weren't exactly expecting the front end to drip with feel. So yeah, design both inside and out is very impressive. The ride is pretty comfortable, the myriad technology at our disposal is very straightforward to use, and we're actually seeing genuine signs of a brand new Infiniti. And let's not forget that prices haven't been confirmed for the QX50 yet. So we've really no idea whereabouts this ends up on the spectrum with the Audi Q5, the BMW X3 and the Mercedes GLC. Still, semi-autonomous driving, brand new engine, and a new design language just around the corner. You know, maybe Infiniti's onto something here.